So, yeah, hello everyone. Welcome to CChat number 26. So basically, CChat is a forum for students to have a discussion, especially in Center for Southeast Asian Social Studies, Universitas Gadjah Mada. For the expert session, we have C-Talk and Digital Society discussion series. And today we have Pailinsiri Gronphet as our discussion. Pailin is Thammasat University student, majoring British and American Studies. And the topic for today is Liberate or Not to Liberate, an analysis of Thai cultural, social, and political issues in the Netflix series, The Girl from Nowhere Season 2, Episode 6, through the lens of social science, literature, and art studies. Without further ado, I yield the time to Pailin.
Thank you for the introduction, Danny. I will share the screen. Okay, so selamat pagi, everyone. And I believe once in a lifetime, everyone has at least heard these proverbs. The rules are made to be broken. However, let's just pause and think about it for a second. Why do we have rules if they are made to be broken? So does that mean the rules are unjust? That's why we broke the rules? As a former school student who has experience studying in a Thai public school, there are several unnecessary and irrelevant strict rules. In Thai culture, it is a norm that students are rarely asked their opinions and are not allowed to question the school authorities. Basically, we are expected to comply with the rules and follow them blindly. So The Girl from Nowhere Season 2 Episode 6, Liberation, depicts several social, political, cultural issues in Thai schools and perhaps Thailand's status quo in 2020. In this discussion, I will explore these issues through the lens of social science, literatures, and art. So first, I'm going to discuss two major themes in this episodes. The first theme is morality, authority, and punishment. And the second theme is the effects of French Revolution and the search for freedom. Then I will analyze significant symbolisms in the episodes. So let's begin. Okay. Okay. Is it show now? Okay. So first and foremost, I would like to review the plot of the episode. The Girl from Nowhere Season 2 Episode 6, Liberation. The story follows Nano in an extremely strict boarding school at Pantana Vidya School. And arriving at the school, Nano is deeply concerned about hypocrisy of the rules and start questioning the ideas of social order and conformity, which later encourages students to revolt against the school authorities. In this particular episode, the story tackles, again, various political, social, and cultural issues in Thailand. So the first scenes begin with Nano reading the school rules, and she gave a speech. She said, "There's a rule for everything, and every rule is there for a reason. But the rule makers always bend the rules. So the rules become oppressive to all of us, and they keep us all tied down." This opening scenes has symbolism in the first scenes. So the hidden message for the first scene is the school name itself, and the school name linked to the idea of morality and authority. So what does the school name mean? Pantana Vidya School. So the word Pantana means commitment, obligation, duty, or bond. And Vidya means knowledge, science, or the study of. So if we coin the word together, it's mean like the school of being commitment to something, or we are obligated to something. This idea reflects one of the 12 core values of Thailand, which is the third values, gratitude, obedience towards one's parents, guardians, and teachers. And these rules are proposed by Prime Minister Prayut Chan-o-cha. Then the series continued to the scenes where Nano dropped the red lipstick, which is the only object is colored. And she was scolded by teacher B, who was about to teach the class the French Revolution. As we can see on the board, on the whiteboard, it is written the French Revolution in 1789. So we can draw a parallel between the sense of oppression and social issues in Thailand. And consequently, the class was interrupted by teacher A and student councils for searching the students' bag. This is pretty common in Thai school, especially in middle school, where teachers or like student councils will search your bags or checks if you are wearing the right socks or not, or sometimes they will keep your socks. These actions illustrate the exertion of authority. Plus, the setting of the school is a boarding school, so it signifies that the rules are much more strict than other schools. Furthermore, Nano questioned teachers A and student councils' outdated protocols and argues that the school regulations infringe students' rights. However, teacher A responded that students must strictly follow the rules, and teacher A is the only one who can decide whether the rules are fair or not. As we can see on the right column, in that scene, the dialogue state that every student must always do as their teacher says. So again, this idea also confirms the 12 core values in Thailand. Thus, we can see that the school top's authority governs the institution by rules and power, or perhaps fear. This also relates to Hobbesian's government, Hobbesian's rule. Therefore, no one can go against their thoughts of their actions, which will be seen in abuse normalization in Thai education. So there are different rebellious actions Nano expressed and challenged against the school authorities. For instance, wearing red lipsticks, dyeing her hair, piercing, burning the school rule book. So as I mentioned, Thai culture has a strong sense of hierarchy. Students are discouraged to discuss or raise questions or concerns to teachers. In one scene, Nano was told by her friends, her name is Mie, that teachers do not like students like Nano because she questioned a lot of stuff. The school, since Nano was inspired to challenge the school authorities, however, everything's come with a price. Nano was being punished by teacher A in several ways. So the first punishment was reading the school's rules out loud. And when she read the rules out loud, as we can see in this presentation, she read the rules and she feels that the rules are so outdated that it shouldn't be used anymore. So she burned down the book. And then when she burned down the book, it was like a chaos because although there's no rules in the book stating that you cannot burn down the book, but the teachers feel like she is being so radical. So Nano was sent to the repentance room. As an audience, when I watched this Netflix series, I compared the repentance room to Jane Eyre's Red Room and Bastille Prison during the French Revolution. So how do I link these symbolisms? The reputation of the Bastille associated with torture and brutality, which was also a symbol of political oppression and abuse. Similarly, the novel Jane Eyre also challenged the hierarchy of authority and traditions, especially during the Victorian era. It challenged Victorian views of middle-class women as a moral exemplars, passionless domestic angels, stuff like that. So when Nano was put in the repentance room, and her second punishment was sitting in a dark room, listening to the school rules. And you can see on the first picture on the left here, there's like a speaker next to her. So it seems like an an act of brainwash in a way. This represents a re-education camps or the methods of attitude adjustment used by Thai military government. So the military government claimed that the attitude adjustment is created to prevent any libel or reduce any conflicts. However, it is obvious that this method is oppressing citizens from the freedom of speech, freedom of rights, freedom of press. Moving to the scenes where teacher A used Nano as a scapegoat, planting cigarettes in her skirt pouch as well. So again, this still confirms the power exertion of authority and unjust punishment. Nano once again was sent to the repentance room, but this time she had to listen again, like 427 rules, while sitting with a blinding lights. And the punishment seems to have worsened as Nano continued to rebel against the school rules, such as dyeing her hair again and piercing. This angered and frustrated teacher A so much so that she cut Nano's tongue. And interestingly, the action of cutting tongue is linked to, I think it's a hidden like Easter egg of the series, because if we evaluate all the punishment Nano has received, it mirrors the Buddhist teaching. Is close your ears, close your eyes, close your mouth. And for me, I think on one hand, the teaching gives good life lessons. It tells us not to speak bad, not to hear bad things, not to see bad things happening. However, in political sense, that's a kind of being apolitical, and apolitical is not a choice because politics affects us, affects our daily lives and is everywhere. It is contradictory when now Thailand promotes and encourages students or citizens as egalitarian society. Unfortunately, it is a complex situation that cannot apply because society remains under the power of the high authority, and their decisions are stronger than laws and regulations because they abuse the power. Plus, the laws are not really enforced. This brings me to the second themes of the series, the effects of French Revolution and the search for freedom. As we are aware of the cause of the French Revolution, it brought to an end the absolute monarchy, absolutism, and oppressions. In the setting of the series, a boarding school is a symbol of oppressions and surveillance. So students must follow the rules and cannot question authorities. But then we can also question whether if we don't have rules, how are we going to govern or lead our life? So this is a famous 30s poet, Winston Hughes Auden, or W.H. Auden, wrote a poem. It's called The Unknown Citizens. It's like a satire work of the government monitoring its own citizens, as the last 4 lines of the poem suggested. So if we look at the poem, from the first stanza to almost at the end, it praised how that citizens or the speaker that is referred to are being a good citizens because he always follow the government, because we listen, because we are listened, therefore we are good citizens. But you see the last 2 lines. It said, was he free? Was he happy? The question is absurd. Had anything been wrong, we should certainly have heard. So that's the government monitored everything. So citizens cannot really express their opinion, and they have to blindly follow the rules. And this loses the sense of individuality. As John Locke stated about human nature in the second treatise of government, he stated that the state of human nature has a law of nature to govern it, which oblige everyone, and reason, which is that law teaches all mankind, who will but consolidate that being all equal and independent, no one ought to harm another in his life, health, liberty, or possessions. So basically, this means human beings are bound to progress. We have the ability to reason. So if we have reason, we can have compromise and make or implement laws that satisfy everyone without being oppressed to each other. Moral Locke noted the notion that government is legitimate with the consent of the people. Whenever the legislators endeavors to take away and destroy the property of the people or reduce them to slavery under arbitrary laws established or decided by a single body and not by consent, power, they put themselves into the state of war with the people, who are thereupon absolved from any further obedience and are left to the common refuge which God provided for all men against force and violence. So simply put this again, if government abuses their power and takes away the rights of the people have every right to overthrow the government. Thus, we can see in the series that students at the end, they feel so oppressed enough that it's time for them to overthrow the school authorities and demand it for change. That's when you read another character through all the school donation documents from the ministry, because school also corrupted. But however, if we sometimes want to demand for a change, what kind of approach do we are going to change, and what kind of rules are we going to lead again? So we noticed two different approaches between Nano and Yuli. Nano tends to favor a gradual change, like she questions a lot of rules and leave an impact to the school authorities, whilst Yuri favors immediate change, like she incites students to storm into the building, demanding for change. So this also shows the fractures in ideologies and approach within the reform group. And lastly, when it comes to symbolisms in the series, it's beautifully balanced. I would say, like the first cinematography gives an artistic risongsang. The use of chiaroscuro in the scenes like highlights the motifs and human nature. Chiaro means light and scuro mean dark. And this technique is usually used and employed in paintings like Renaissance and Baroque paintings. A famous painter like Caravaggio used this technique to contrast light and dark with good and evil. So we can see the famous painting here is Judith beheading Holofernes, and the lighting focuses on the character in a dark setting, and the light always shows on the bad characters. So we can see that every human has its own darkness. This also similar to the scenes where the principal was on the floor, surrounded by lights from students' phones. Another interpretation for the lights here from the phone is like a self-protection, because since social media plays a big role as a weapon, as a self-defense mechanism, as we see in today's like political issues like in Myanmar, in Thailand. Second, the principal room has an ancient Greek sculpture. If we look carefully to the left, you will see the sculpture looks like Michelangelo's Venus de Milo. This might be a hidden message that the school might involve with sexual harassment and corruption, as when the students storm into the building and the principal trying to keep his money away. As we see here, that's why in Thailand status quo in 2020, there's like a reform, there's like a students protest, is called Bad Students. They are demanding for change, like want to reform not almost every, but traditions in Thai school and how Thai hierarchy governs, you see the sexual harassment in Thai schools is a topic that we are not allowed to even discuss in Thai schools. So when students expose these kind of issues into a larger scale, a lot of older generation tends to view us as a more radical. And this thirdly, the short signifies tradition and modern film ratio. In the beginning of the series, we see the aspects ratio start with 16:9, which it is today's standards cinema, like cinematography. However, when Nano enters the school, the ratio shifted to 4:3, which is like shorter. More importantly, the film is monochrome, so it's black and white that symbolize traditions and perhaps societies, because societies tends to judge whether we should view this is good and this is evil. There's no grayscale. At the end, when students step out of the schools, they were expecting that perhaps the scenes or the screen environment will be colorized. However, it is still a black and white shade. So this demonstrates that even though they were able to escape the school authoritarianism, it doesn't mean that they are fully free from society oppression. And lastly, the juxtaposition between classical music and student rebellious action highlights the tone and the irony of the series. There are well-known classical pieces used in this episode, such as Vivaldi's Summer and Winter, Rachmaninoff Piano Concerto, or Verdi Requiem. Also Beethoven's Symphony No. 5 and Richard Wagner, the Valkyries. So I will use this example. There's one scene. This is my favorite scenes where I think the screenwriter really do a good research for classical music and the emotions of the students. So in these scenes where the students are protesting, they use Richard Wagner's The Valkyries, and the Wagners admired a German philosopher, Arthur Schopenhauer. It states that philosopher stated that human desire can never be satisfied. And that's why Wagner wanted to reflect this idea in his music by, delaying resolution of his music chords. And it created effects to listeners, keeping them in a state of unbearable. And we can see the state of rebellion, rebellious action of the students. They want to reform, and if the rules or if the change are not meet their objective, they will keep overthrow the government. So to conclude this, whether we have rules to stabilize social order or not, I think it is up to debate. Rules could be seen as, restoring peace and order. At the same time, the rules makers can oppress us in a way. So how we balance the rules to satisfy everyone, I think that is a question that we should reevaluate on, and how are we going to establish rules for society to live peacefully. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Pailin. So we reached the end of the presentation. So for the conclusions, I think the episode 6 from season 2 is like a satire, right? Satire to the government of Thai itself, because I know that episode 6 is very unique because it using the 4:3 ratio and the monochromatic scenes also. Apart from the other episodes, only the episode 6. And also I think that episode 6 is like the simulation of the real world, like how can the world be so linear, like Nano can praise the teacher and so on. And actually we don't know the Nano background, like the teacher asked, who actually you, Nano? Do you remember the scene?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, until
I
the end
remember
we don't know who is Nano actually.
Yeah, or I think that episode, like Nano, leaves the question for us, like, are we really the one who can really judge the rules in this grayscale world? And I think that's quite an impact, like, like a profound question to rethink about that.
Yeah, it represents a lot at the end of the scenes. And I please the participant to ask to Pailin about the presentation. Okay, Cesar Di Kemalsa has a question, and I please you to ask.
Okay, probably it's not going to be a questions, but it's going to be a comment. Is that fine?
Yeah.
Okay, first of all, thank you very much for Pailin for the presentations. It's really enlightened me for knowing more and more about social condition in Thailand, and also some aspects on Thai domestic politics. This is really helpful for me because currently I'm in the process of doing my undergraduate thesis, and I have a focus on the student movement that happened from 2020 to 2021. Yeah, and also focusing in non-violence actions. And yeah, it's really a parallel with what I found. So I try to see it from a broader context. Like, yeah, I do agree that I can see that the Thai society is in a certain kind of social hierarchy, and then a lot of authority traditions, and also in a broader context, I can say there is a great generational gap that somehow become a momentum that finally gave birth to the movement that happened in 2020 until today. So yeah, and I can see also that the contestations here are about the context of democracy and also about the morality. There are different interpretations of democracy, like we can see in 2010 and 2013 to 2014, when there was a red shirt movement against the yellow shirt movement. It's also about the contestations about democracy, while the other one said democracy must be a one man one vote and something like that. And then the other one said that no, democracy is all about putting the right person in the parliament, in the government, which is, yeah. And then we can still see the residual effect from there in the movement in 2020 to 2021. And that the one that's quite surprising is also about their demands for the monarchy reform. It's really a progressive, yeah, it's progressive demand. Actually, I'm quite surprised knowing that finally they have the courage to say that in public. And yeah, we still can see the generational gap here between the students, the high schoolers, and also the especially those who sit in the government seats, because if I'm not wrong, the Thai political system is dominated by the conservative ideology, and while here the students, they bring a more progressive ideologies, I say like that. So yeah, it's really interesting to see your presentation, which I found really, really parallel with what I found on my research. And then also when you say about the different approach between Nano and Yuri, which the other one is gradual and the other one is immediate change, it's also came to my mind that, oh, at first the movement really I'm not sure if this is right or wrong, but based on my observations, the current movement is kind of split into two, where the other one is more subtle, I think, and the other one is more revolutionary. So yeah, I can also see that based on my observations. So yeah, thank you for the presentation. Really confirm my research, and yeah, I think that's all. That's a great appreciation for you. Thank you very much, Pailin.
Thank you very much. Terima kasih banyak.
Maybe any response from you, Pailin? Oh yeah, there is a question from Rizky.
Oh, okay.
So for Rizky.
Okay, thank you so much for the time given to me. I really appreciate your presentation. It's very, very good. It's enlightened me about what's going on in Thailand. So I have one question because I've already watched the episode 6. So my question is about the last scenes where the students were finally free and they were stepping out from the entrance gate of the school. The tone color remains in black and white, like nothing changes before and after the rebellion, right? So I just want to know what your opinion about this. Does it represent something because the tone color remains in white and black and nothing changes? Yeah, that's my question. Thank you.
Thank you, Vicky. Well, I think I think it depends like how you views after how you views the setting of the school. I think there are, for me, I feel like a school is probably a set of a place where we can relate at first, so we can use the school as a symbol of like being oppressed, and then when we go outside to enter the societies, like when we go into like working environment or maybe any government government work, there's some sense of hierarchy. That's why I think the director still chose to continue the environment as black and white. As I said, there's still a sense of oppression, even though we demanded for a change. And we might think we are free from the oppression, but still there's maybe a subtle oppression in some way. I hope I answer your questions.
Okay, I see your point. Thank you so much.
Okay, is there any question from participant? If there isn't, maybe I ask you a question, Pailin. I also has a question to Pailin. Like, actually, is there really a connection between the episode and the movement that recently happens in Thai? That is Three Finger Salute movement. Maybe it is too sensitive, but as we see, the release of episode 6 is just coincided with the movement. How do you think?
Yeah, yes, indeed, I would say it really supports whatever student movement in Thailand, and the series, especially you can tell by the name, as it manifested itself, the liberation, to liberate, to be free, to like give some freedom. So that's why I think, yeah, Thai protest, like student protest or Three Fingers protest, is for pro-democracy. We are searching for democracy, a place for democracy.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, there's a question from Suchaya Pansil. Can you open your mic?
Okay, hi.
Hi.
Okay, I really enjoyed your presentation, as I also love the series. So my question for you is that in the scene where Yuri pushes Nano off the edge of the building with teacher A's hand. Do you think this represents authorities taking out the ringleader first in order to stop the rebellion from continuing? If so, do you think that this is an effective action?
That's very good, and thank you for the question. Um, Well, for the effective, you ask for effective actions, right? For if we take out the ringleader first, everything would stop. I think it's still depends, but as we learned in the class before, like in John Locke, that if people are still not satisfied with the change, they will try every way to overthrow the government regardless of the fears. I think that maybe when the authoritarian leader trying to put fear to show people that this should be stopped, that's why they kill somebody first, and hoping that like the crown, the dissenter will stop, but actually it wouldn't. So I don't think that's the effective way, but maybe it might work in some way, but I don't think so. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. I have another question.
Go on. Yeah.
Okay, so ultimately, the scene where teacher A was murdered, would you say that this could be an eye opener for authoritarian leaders to change in order to avoid these situations from happening in the future?
You see, teacher A, when the students murder teacher A, right? And it's like a reverse action. I would say, like, at first students want to change and it leads to chaos and probably killing somebody. Maybe for other leaders, when teacher A is dead, maybe they might feel scared, but I would think that in reality they're probably going to have more plans what they should do next. But for students, if for me, if the end justify the means, would you think it's morally good for killing somebody and just in order to achieve the goal?
Well, I think that killing in general is immoral, but sometimes for the greater good, it's a must, I think. It can be justified, the actions.
I see. Thank you, Anand.
Okay, is there any question? I think from myself is enough. So can we proceed into the photo together session? And I please to all the participants to on the camera, to have their camera on.
Hello, sorry, I'm not ready to turn on my camera. I'm really sorry, that's my picture though, so you can use that. But I do have one last question.
Okay.
I'm comfortable to ask like detailed question about it, but from watching season 1 and from like hearing about season 2, what I'm quite curious is like if the series is quite as Pailin said, like in Thailand there has been a lot of like kind of issue of censorship. Like I wonder like why this you know it's popular and well known, and like I wonder if there's like a criticism like from conservative side, or you know, why is it allowed to be like publicized as it is, if it's actually like speak to the other like that. Also, like, what do you think about the future of like the Thai media in terms of political matters? Yeah.
อาจารย์มนทิตาค่ะ Can you repeat the first question again because I couldn't hear, like it was a bit laggy. I'm so sorry.
Oh, really? Sorry. I think there's something wrong with my internet. Me well now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Yeah, so my question was that like, why do you think Nano is not censored, or like kind of harshly, or if maybe it is, but I don't know, like harshly criticized by the conservative? And also, what do you think about like the future of the Thai media? Like, do you think it's gonna become more political?
In my opinion, regarding to censorship, I think that's quite complicated because I'm not really sure how like the press or media works, but I think it's quite an eye-opening for, as I said, there's like probably like a generation gap. So maybe the director of the show maybe wants to enlighten more Thais or younger generation to start questioning again, since our education always teaches us not to question authorities, but sometimes we always question about ourselves or our things, our issues happening going on, but we don't have that courage to speak up. So maybe that's why Nano is not being censored. And to answer the second question about the future of Thailand regarding to the press, I still believe that someday we will have independent media that have more platform, like open free space for citizens to critique or give an ideas how rules and laws or how the government management should be.
Thank you. I actually also heard that they made it more like kind of supernatural. I wonder if that was
yeah, I think Nano, probably because they made the character of like Nano character so supernatural. I read some like ideas and research, or I read a lot of research about Nano, and they said Nano is like a resemble of Satan's daughter. So that's why she wants to bring like a badness from each character she meets or things that happening in Thailand.
So maybe that's what make them think like, oh, it's okay, she's just a Satan.
Yeah, I think so.
Not gonna happen.
Yeah, but I still have hope. I still have hope for Thailand.
Yes, we must. Okay, thank you.
Okay, so I think that's the last question. Thank you, Montita, for the question. So to all the participants, I please you to turn the camera on so we could have a photo session together. All right, thank you everyone. So I will count 3, 2, 1 to take a picture. So 3, 2, 1. Thank you. One more. 3, 2, 1. Okay, thank you everyone. So we are reaching the end of the meeting. So see you at C-Talk 27 by Center for Southeast Asian Social Studies. So yeah, thank you everyone.
Thank you everyone.
Thank you.